Imagine how it would feel to reclaim your freedom while focusing on your time on increasing your revenues and expanding your reach and impact. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Especially if you're running a business, right? What would you be able to accomplish if you had a simple roadmap that would guide you forward in your business? Well, stick around, stay tuned, because I want to introduce you to my fantastic guest today, business management and operations expert, Wendy Breakstone. And Wendy, thank you so much for joining us today. I know that you've got so many valuable things that you can share with our audience about growing and expanding their business. So welcome to your business show.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here, Susan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Everything is so great today, and I trust the same for you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so I want to dive right in because this is really exciting stuff. When I first found out about you, we met on Facebook and I saw some of your videos and I thought, oh my goodness, I need to speak with this gal. She really has a solid concept, a solid understanding and idea of what it takes to build not just a six-figure business, but a multi-million-dollar business. And if you, the audience, is anything like me, that might be on your radar to create a really large, sustainable, successful business. But as we know, moving from a solo entrepreneurship onwards and upwards, there's systems and processes and most certainly specific steps that need to be taken. And that's what we're going to be talking about today with Wendy. So Wendy, one of the things that I was curious about is what is the common thing that you see entrepreneurs who are enjoying six-figure businesses, but what happens when they get to that point?
So I love to look at scaling your business as an adventure, number one. I think a lot of the times we get in our head and it starts to become so serious and it becomes unfun, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem because I always think like if it isn't going to be fun in the big picture, right? You're always going to have days that aren't so fun, right? But if it's not going to be fun overall, you might as well go back to a corporate job, right?
No
Where
kidding.
somebody else is calling the shots. So first and foremost, I impress upon all of the entrepreneurs that I work with that they need to think of themselves as the CEO of their business, okay? So we get into these like buzzwords like creativepreneur, solopreneur, wellnesspreneur, whatever kind of preneur you have decided you are, you first and foremost are the CEO of your business. And so you kind of need to act like and lead your business like the CEO. And a lot of the times I find that entrepreneurs aren't being the CEO of their business. It's just that simple. And that creates a plateau. They often hit a ceiling and they start to think, well, maybe this is it. Maybe I can't grow anymore. And I always say, you know what? That's just not true. It's just simply not true. But you got to get out of your own way. And so I have some tips and tricks and a framework that I use to help these CEOs get out of their own way so that they can start to, double their growth, double their revenue, and scale to where they really, truly deserve to be.
Yeah, and that is so true. I mean, I've even witnessed it myself in my business. Like if you keep doing the exact same thing, you're going to keep getting the exact same results, right? And those results are getting you to a certain point because what you're doing is only getting you to that certain point, right? And so you're saying, okay, stop doing what you're always doing. You've got to switch and get out of your way and switch what what it is that you're doing in order to, get moved to that next level, right? So
absolutely.
What should the entrepreneurs be doing to get past those plateaus?
Oh my gosh. Well, there's quite a few things that they can do. First and foremost, generally what happens is they started and their business has grown organically. And that means their systems have grown organically and so have their processes and the way that they think about things, and everything starts to get swirled and mumboed and jumboed up there in your head. And so the first step is always taking a step back and thinking about how you can simplify. Now, I come across 4 big lies that like CEOs of all different, no matter how big you are, I would be willing to bet that you have told yourself at least 3 of these 4 big lies. And I'd love to share them with you before I dive into how you can unstuck yourself,
Yeah.
if that's okay with you.
I would love to hear these 4 big lies that I'm kind of just bracing myself. More than likely I've said all 4, but go ahead.
Brace yourself, because these are some big myths and misconceptions that we tell ourselves. And as you grow into new levels of your business, you know what they say, new level, new devil, right? You probably are saying these lies to yourself in some form or another. So the first lie that I come across a lot, and this is especially when you're starting to see big growth and starting to build a team, is nobody can possibly do the work as good as me. Yeah. Okay. I know everybody points to themselves like, oh shoot. Well, you know what that means? That means, Susan, that in actuality, if you are saying that to yourself, you are the biggest bottleneck in your own business's growth. And if you want to create a scalable business, you need to get out of your way and probably get out of your team's way so that you can, start to see that growth, start to double. Here's the thing. There's millions of people that can do that work as good as you, if not better than you. And we get hung up, and our ego is trying to talk to us and tell us things. And really what it's doing, it's designed to keep us where we are, to keep us safe, to keep us feeling confident. So it's not going to let us venture off and try new things like, God forbid, delegate, right? So that's the first lie. Nobody can do it as good as me. I'm here to tell you there are tons of people that can do it as good as, if not better than you, okay?
And I would just interject though, the key is to find that person, because
Absolutely.
there's a lot of people who think they know, but they don't. And you can go through a lot of frogs before you find that prince.
Yeah. And when we talk a little bit later about my scale model, we'll talk about the team and how you can feel confident in the team. And there's a way that I help you kind of through that process that I'll definitely dive into.
Perfect.
So the next lie that I find a misconception is people think that if they hire a virtual assistant, that's going to solve all their problems.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a virtual assistant. I love virtual assistants. And when you find that virtual assistant that really gets you, hang on to that person, pay that person what they're worth. But here's the thing. Virtual assistants usually are doers. They're great at taking the task that you assign to them and doing it, okay? They're not high-level thinkers. They're not strategic partners. And so a lot of the time when your business is struggling in one area or another and you want to throw a VA at the problem, it doesn't serve the purpose of what you're trying to do, which is create a system that can scale, okay? That's really not what a VA is designed to do for you. So I find that a lot of people end up kind of realizing that they hired a VA prematurely, or they hired a VA before they had that strong foundation in place, and then they end up kind of back where they are before they know it, okay? So I always think of the VA as make sure that you hire that VA when you have a system in place so that you don't end up working for the VA. Because all too often I hear CEOs say, God, I feel like I'm trying to keep my VA busy all the time.
Can I add one little point about hiring a VA? Because I'm just like you. I think there is definitely a valuable place for them in an organization. And as you said, they are the doers. We can't delegate to them, expecting them to just know what we know in order to create on their own. They do what they're told to do. Many times I talk to business owners who are really upset, and obviously I'm a web developer, so my frame of reference is in the web development and the branding arena, where they're upset that they had their VA build their website for them, and it's broken, it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, it's not getting any conversions, it's not getting them the leads they want. And I go, well, if your VA was a web developer, that's what they would call themselves. That's not their area of expertise. And one of the challenges that I find is that VAs aim to please. They are there to be a support system. And many VAs I have seen and witnessed, even though they don't know much about a certain task, they will say, yes, I'll take care of that for you, because that's in their nature, that's their DNA. And then they'll go to YouTube or wherever and figure out how to do it. And
Absolutely.
so beware of what you are delegating to a VA and making sure that it is actually in their area of expertise.
Well, and then what happens is, so you have the VA doing your web development and they're not a web developer, right? Like you said, and then that just affirms nobody can do the work as good as me. I think I'll just build my own website. It's like, you didn't get a web expert.
Yeah.
You had a VA do it. So you're absolutely right. Always make sure to hire the right people for the right job. And the beautiful thing about the internet and the world that we live in now is that people have niche down. People do have expertise and specialities in particular areas. And so find those people. That might mean you spend a little bit more. That's okay. It's going to come back to you tenfold in the long run. We'll talk about that in a minute. And do it right the first time, or at least the second time, because after that, shame on you, right? So the third lie that I hear a lot is, I'll just throw more money at marketing and that will fix my problem. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. If you're a successful multi six-figure entrepreneur, you don't have a marketing problem. You're already a successful multi six-figure entrepreneur. You already have leads. You already have business, right? Throwing more money at marketing, creating another funnel, making another lead magnet, that's not what's going to fix the problem. You have an underlying foundational problem where you need to strengthen what's holding up your house in order to make the house bigger. You can't build, you build a house, you want to put on a second story, you bring a structural engineer out to make sure that the foundation is strong enough to hold that growth, right? So throwing more money at marketing, bringing in more, prospects, it generally does not fix a problem. Mm-hmm. That's the funnest thing to do. That's the easiest thing to do, but that usually doesn't fix the problem.
No, and that's so true. And I've experienced it myself. And it kind of goes back to the first part where you end up becoming your own bottleneck. Well, yes, if we spent more money on marketing and brought in more leads and more work, everything is just going to implode because structurally it's not set up to support that. If those efforts actually result in, in new leads.
Absolutely. And so you can see how these, and I'll get to the fourth lie in just a second, but you can see how these are all kind of connected and how you can end up in this loop of being in a plateau, basically, and you can't figure out how to get out of it. So the fourth lie is something that we all say to ourselves: I can't afford it. I'll just work a little more and eventually it'll get easier. And so what I always say is, yeah, you can afford it. It's an investment and not an expense. It's an investment in your business. And Parkinson's law says that the work expands to fill the time allotted. So if you add another hour to your day and take on the work thinking that someday the work is going to miraculously disappear and you're going to get 2 hours back for the hour that you gained, you are wrong. It's just not going to happen. You will always fill the time. And that makes your partner upset. That makes your family upset. That makes your friends upset. And that burns you out, freaks you out, or sells you out. So those are the lies. And you can see like they're all interconnected, like you just said.
They are. And that fourth one is such a biggie, and not just for the six-figure entrepreneur, but for the brand new entrepreneur and every stage of the game. The self-talk just constantly says, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. I'll wait until then. I'll wait until this happens. And like you said, when we invest in our business, it is an investment. It isn't an expense. It's an investment in order to help build and grow and expand that business. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs do tell that lie to themselves way more than ever they should be.
It's true. I mean, it's, this is not a which came first, chicken or the egg. It's like first you need to invest and then you get the return on your investment, right? And that happens in everything. Like you can't go to the stock market and say, I want to invest in 100 shares of this stock. I'm going to pay for it once I get my return. Like first you invest and then you get the return on your investment. So, that's kind of the way it works. And as entrepreneurs, we always think, well, we're just going to squeeze a little more in. And that's just, that's a recipe for burnout. That is a big recipe for burnout.
I laugh because I can count too many times when somebody brand new to the business, approach me and say, okay, if you make my website for me now, and then it makes money, then I can pay you. And I go, no, it doesn't work that way. We don't
Yeah.
work for free.
And I want to challenge every entrepreneur, every CEO to make sure that they don't work for free, because your time is valuable. And I've had people approach me like that too, like, oh, I'll pay you this. And then when I start making money, it's like, you know what? You are in charge of making your own money.
Yeah.
And everybody needs to take responsibility of that in their own life. So I think that's a valuable lesson. And I always tell people, if somebody's coming to you right out of the gate and asking you to like discount or I'll pay you when, you don't have any control over that. And that is a huge red flag. Run the other direction.
And I love what you're saying, and I'm going to reiterate it because it is so important. And it's a topic I've talked about in the past with other, wonderful experts like yourself, is that as a business owner, everybody has to take responsibility and accountability for their own success and for their own failure. It can't, laying the blame on Mercury retrograde or the stock market or whatever is not at all how a business person needs to think in order to get past whatever challenge it is that that has been created and move forward.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we know now that we know all the bad things we're telling ourselves, gosh, and this is where it gets so much fun. Like the rubber meets the road when you really start digging in. So what I did is I took all of this like years of experience that I had in business management and project management and marketing, and I started to create a formula that I was walking my clients through that helped them simplify where they were going and move through the plateaus, move through a stalled out phase and open up that ceiling that maybe they've hit. And I call it the scalable CEO. And it's built on the SCALE model, and SCALE is an acronym. And I'd love to share it with you.
Absolutely. I'd love to hear about it.
So, and I have so much fun talking about this. And now I want to preface this all by saying that talking about systems and processes to a lot of entrepreneurs and CEOs is not fun. Like they don't get giddy and start like smiling uncontrollably like I do when I'm talking about systems and processes.
I have to say, I'm a little guilty about that. I do. I love systems and processes. That's in my DNA too.
Right. But a lot of people feel compelled to run away screaming with their hair on fire.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I think you and I are an exception to the rule. I think for the most part, people love to be creative and, get out there and feel fulfilled doing what they love to do and not worry about all those silly details.
Absolutely. But here's the caveat. At the end of the day, if you don't have the proper systems and foundation in place, you are feeling not confident, you're stuck in your head, and you just don't have the bandwidth to serve your clients doing what your true passion is. Now, obviously, my true passion is helping people with their business management systems, right? That's not everybody's. So here's how the SCALE model looks. So the S in SCALE stands for strengthen your systems and foundation. And that's really where I love to start, because with just a few usually simple tweaks to some existing systems that people already have in place, they can find big wins and they can start to like open up that plateau right away. And a couple of the systems that I like to make sure people streamline are their system for prospect pipelining and client information management. I think it's really important that when people are coming into your hemisphere, when people are coming into your pipeline and wanting information, that they are not falling through the cracks. Okay. So oftentimes these systems have grown organically through the years, and they're slower than they need to be. They're more manual than they need to be, and they're bottlenecking everything more than they need to. And ultimately, people stop using them. You might stop using them because they just aren't really working and you're kind of, all over the place. The other part of that is the client information piece. Now, clients are giving you sensitive, private information, and it's your responsibility to keep it safe. And having Post-its all over your desk is not a system for client information management. And so I love to use Asana for this. Some people use Trello. There's some much more robust CRMs out there, including Pipedrive and HubSpot. But wherever you decide to keep your prospect pipeline, how they come into your world, and your client information, you got to make sure that it's optimized and that it's running smoothly.
And used. I think that's one of my issues, is that I have all these systems, but I forget that I have it. And, so it's important to always use it and maintain it and keep it up to date, right?
Yeah, and if you're not using it, it's probably because it may be overcomplicated,
Mm.
or it may be too heavy, or it doesn't have the right features that you really need. Maybe you built it and you bought something bigger because a guru told you that they liked, Infusionsoft, for instance. Let's
Yeah.
just take that. And you might not need all that. No matter what size business you are, find the system that works for the way that you process information, and that is right sized for your business. Okay. Because otherwise you set up all this stuff, you spend all this time, and then it just sits there and you're not using it right.
Find what is working best for you, not what somebody else told you should be doing. Yeah.
So now, before I move on, there's one more system that I love to make sure that everybody's using. And it's probably one of the simplest. And when I say it, sometimes people are like, well, yeah, duh, Wendy, I know that. But here's the thing. The system is an online scheduling tool. And I think it's so important, because if you're kind of going back and forth and ping-ponging an email about trying to schedule your time with your clients, you run the risk of looking wishy-washy. You look like an amateur, and you might look too busy, and that can be a huge turnoff for your clients. So, whether you use Acuity Scheduling, Calendly, or Schedule Once, whatever tool works for you, I highly recommend that you implement forthwith. The minute you stop watching this video, go and get an online scheduling tool, okay? It's a quick win. Now, two reasons why I love an online scheduling tool. One is it lets you set boundaries around your own schedule. And that is super important, because if you don't have your schedule set with boundaries, you end up scheduling during times that are really important for other important things of your life. And after all, you're an entrepreneur, you're supposed to be enjoying the other parts of your life too.
Right.
So boundaries are super important. And then the other thing is it allows your clients to choose. So once you set it up, your clients get to see when you're available, and they get to make a choice. And empowering your clients with choice, I think, is always a great thing to do.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. Absolutely.
There's always ways. And one thing that I want to say as we go through the scale model is that it's not an all or nothing game. Okay. So you might decide, and here's a great example, the one that you just gave, you might decide that certain aspects of your business are perfect for an online scheduling tool, but others are not. You can start where you are and move forward. I don't like people having to go back and try to reinvent a wheel. Okay. They can start where they are and move forward, and start small, and then you can always grow. Yeah. So I'll move on to the C in the scale acronym. And the C stands for commit to your one main thing. Now, when you commit to your one main thing, you are like sticking your flag in the moon. Okay. You are saying, this is what I do. This is what we stand for. This is why you want to work with me. And we do it better than anybody else. It's why your customers keep coming to you. It's why you develop your brand loyalty. If you are kind of focusing over here, and kind of focusing over here, and offering web development, offering business management, and offering hair braiding, those things don't align. You are spreading yourself too thin, and you need to focus in on the one main thing. Yeah. A lot of people, get that, what I call squirrel vision, where they're kind of chasing squirrels around a park. And that isn't good for your headspace, and it isn't good for your clients. And you will end up serving nobody instead of serving the people that really need your help.
Sometimes I just roll my eyes. In fact, I just saw a post the other day on Facebook where somebody had posted, I learned so much how to do social media for my business. I've decided I'm now going to do social media for other people. Mm-hmm. And this is like a fitness trainer or something like that. And you're just sending such mixed messages. Like, would somebody else hire a fitness trainer to do their social media for them? No, they would hire a social media expert. And so, yeah, that commitment and staying firm to what you are good at is so important. And if I might add another tidbit about commitment is actually being committed to your business. Now, if we're talking to six-figure business owners, that's probably not the case. You're very committed. But there are some people who just aren't committed, and they can use a lot of reasons to get uncommitted and go and take a break instead of working on their business.
Here's what usually I think happens is you need to make sure that your one main thing aligns to your core values and your core vision, okay? And if your one main thing doesn't align to your core values, or it doesn't really align to your core vision, or you just are prone to shiny object syndrome, you are going to get pulled in a lot of different directions. And I'm one of those people that suffers from it, right? Like, we all have those things. As entrepreneurs, we're geared to wanting to expand and grow. But nowadays, with the way that the market is going and the internet is developing, it's better to go deep instead of broad, right? And so if you can really dive deeper and find more ways to serve in where you've planted your flag, where you've put your stake in the ground, that's going to serve you and it's going to serve your clients better. Now, down the road, when you hit that 7 figures and you really want to expand your revenue and it doesn't align to your one main thing, that's the time that you start looking at starting another business. Right. But a lot of entrepreneurs shoot themselves in the foot because they decide they want to bring something into their business that doesn't align, and it throws off the whole cadence of the team, and it throws off the whole business, and it's a disaster.
I've talked with people too who do want to bring in that other element, and they'll say, well, can we fit this into the website somehow? And I go, no, it has nothing to do with what your core competency is. If you want to do that, start a whole nother business and a whole nother website to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The A in the scale acronym stands for align your actions to your one main thing. So now that you know what your one main thing is, it's time to dive in and make sure that everything you're working on as the CEO aligns back to the one main thing. And for that, I love what I call the 3Ds exercise: do it, delegate it, or ditch it. And that's really taking a holistic view of your work for a couple of days and kind of just jotting down everything that you do, and then deciding, is it something that I need to do as the CEO? Does it demand CEO work? Does it demand my time, because it aligns? If yes, then you keep it as a do it. Okay. Maybe it's something that needs to be done, but it can be done by a teammate, right? Then you delegate it. Maybe it's something you've been doing for a while and you think, yeah, this isn't really making us money. This doesn't really serve the one main thing. And that's what you ditch, and you get rid of it as soon as possible and get it off your plate. So those are the 3Ds: do it, delegate it, or ditch it. And once you align your actions to the one main thing, then you move on to the L, which is leverage your team. And leveraging your team is magic for the CEO, because what's been happening is, especially if you've hit a plateau or you realize, and maybe you're just listening to this and starting to think gee, maybe I have stalled out a little bit. Maybe I have hit a plateau and you didn't even realize it. Or maybe you've been thinking, oh, I'm at, $400,000 a year. I guess that's it, right? Well, that's not it. You're ready to double. But here's the thing. When you start to leverage your team, you take yourself out of the middle CEO role, and in its place becomes your one main thing. So your business is not revolving around you. You are not the nucleus or the sun of your business anymore. Your one main thing becomes the nucleus of your business. And that's when the magic can really happen. Because while the ego loves for us to be the center of attention, it loves all the excitement, it loves being so important to the team and helping make every single decision, that is a recipe for a plateau, for hitting a ceiling. So when you can remove yourself from the air traffic control role, or from the nucleus, and really have that be your one main thing that everything starts to revolve around, then you can really start to grow your business. So leveraging your team, it looks like this: making sure you have the right people in the right seats doing the right work. Okay. And for that, you need to make sure that they get it, that they want it, and that they have the capacity and experience to do it. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes somebody is doing something and they get it, but they don't actually want to be doing it. Okay. Sometimes they want it, but they don't get it. They don't understand it. Sometimes they get it and they want it, but they don't have the capacity. They're maxed out. Okay. They work part-time, or they need to be off work by 3 to pick up their kids, whatever it is. They don't have the capacity. And then the last thing is, maybe they're super eager and they get it and they want it and they have the capacity, but they don't have the experience.
Right.
And for certain roles, experience matters. So when you can leverage your team, you have the confidence to delegate and let it go. Now, delegating can be hard. Sometimes your team is going to make a wrong decision. You still need to embrace them and applaud them for and praise them because they have made decisions. But we've all made mistakes, so it's cool. You just have to kind of let it go and not fall back into the nobody can do it as good as me trap, right? Yeah. So that's leveraging your team, and that can be a game changer for every CEO.
Yeah, and I can totally see that. And for the most part, I do a lot of delegating. I have a team of 11 people, and it's a huge difference when you find somebody who really does know what they're doing. The confidence definitely comes in, and then it's very easy to give them full control and say, yeah, just do what you need to do. And that trust is there, but they need to build up that trust, and then boom, yeah, it's amazing how much you can delegate and just enjoy seeing the work being produced.
And you just said it right there. Enjoy seeing the work being produced because you're confident in that person, in that role as well. And that's why it's so important to have the right people in the right seats, because if you don't, you're just not going to feel confident, and you're going to end up doing it all yourself. And that's not where you want to go as a 7-figure CEO entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the fifth E? What is the last one?
This is the fun one. E stands for expand your impact, freedom, revenue, and reach. And this is where it all kind of culminates. So when you're expanding your impact, you're serving more people. When you're expanding your freedom, you're allowing yourself to take those longer vacations or create a 4-day work week for yourself, right? Or get off work at 2:00 every day to pick up your kid from kindergarten. Whatever that looks like for you, freedom being a CEO might also mean looking at different revenue opportunities, right? Expanding revenue paths, revenue streams, and expanding your reach. Maybe you want to start doing more philanthropic work. Maybe it's important that you spend 1 day a week working in the community, whatever that looks like. But when you follow the scale model, you have the ability to expand, double your growth, and really make a long-lasting impact, not just for yourself, but on your family and on your clients, which is really why we're in it to win it, right?
And I love that. I love ending off that E with all of the wonderful benefits and possibilities, and of how we can enjoy running our business and basking in its success, as opposed to it feeling like drudgery and work and not really basking in it.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is that once you start to hit these new levels, you can always go back and re-implement the scale model, right? So being the scalable CEO means that you are always ready to scale, right? And every time you feel yourself, or you feel the ceiling you start bumping your head on the ceiling, it's time to start to look and strengthen your systems and streamline. It's time to start using the model again to help move you forward again.
Yeah, that's so true. I can see it being a very cyclical thing. Like, every milestone can be a potential for hitting another plateau. Therefore, you need to go back into that system again and see what do we need to adjust and change in order to get past that and move forward to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. And, we all experience it, but the trick is to stay away from those big lies that you're telling yourself and do something positive with your business, which is, again, why you became an entrepreneur and a CEO to begin with. So
yeah, I love it. I love your all of your acronyms, the scale model and the lies that we tell ourselves. It's fantastic. Thank you so much. And I know that you've got a video series on your website that people can tune into and get a little bit more detail about your scale model, right?
Absolutely. I love to go a little bit deeper than what we have time to talk about today. So that absolutely, it's a free 4-part video training all on the scalable CEO and the scale model. And you can get it just by going to my website. You can go to wendybreakstone.com/free-training, and it'll be available to you as soon as you sign up.
Fantastic. And I'll make sure I have that link for everybody below. And I highly encourage you, the viewer, to go and take part in that free video series. I'm going to sign up myself because
Awesome.
I think that it doesn't matter where your goals are. Maybe your goal isn't to become a millionaire, successful business. Even if it's, just to get to that 6-figure mark. I think everything that you've talked about today, Wendy, can be implemented at some level to help somebody grow their business if they're serious about growing their business and not just treating it as a hobby. So, the information that you shared is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
My pleasure. I'm so happy to have been invited here to share it with you and your audience. Thank you, Susan.
Oh, you're very welcome. And thank you, audience, for joining us today. I hope you got as much value out of today's talk with Wendy that I did. I know I certainly learned a lot. And hey, if you are watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and click the subscribe button so that you can be notified of the next videos that are uploaded into this channel. And I encourage you to come and stop by and visit us often, because I have such wonderful guests on often on the Business Zen show. And thank you so much. Thank you, Wendy, for joining us. And thank you, the viewer, for coming. And that's it for today. We'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Are you kidding me? Just talk about my system and how it can help people. It's like, better than chocolate.
Well, now let's not get radical here.
Yeah, we're not going to go that far.